Hello, I am Manga Common, and this is not an easy video to make. Before I say anything else, I want to make it clear that I am discussing two situations I need to talk about. The Spoctor Ponder situation and the Fruitcake Club server. To start off, I want to apologize to the victims connected to both the Spoctor Ponder situation and the Fruitcake Club server. I intend on going more in depth with these situations, giving proper context for each individual situation, but this needs to be stated first at the beginning of the video since I know most people will probably not watch the full thing. I will be giving proper context for each situation when I get to those sections. People were hurt, and that pain is real. I regret not recognizing what was happening at the time, and I wish I had acted differently. With the Spoctor Ponder situation, I failed to act when vital information was released that proved the creator Spoctor Tech's guilt to be true, as well as other heinous information that was recently brought to my attention. I stayed quiet when I should have taken responsibility, spoken up when I received the information, and supported those who were affected. That silence was wrong, and I own that. As for the Fruitcake Club, aka the FCK Server, I want to be transparent. My time there was brief, less than 3 hours in a single night 5 years ago. I did not harm anyone. I did not share or request NSFW content, and I was not involved in what others were doing to people in that server. My mistake was posting safer work art in a channel that was labeled NSFW. I did not pay attention to the label at the time, and that's on me. If I had realized what was going on in that server, I would have never taken part, and I would have spoken out against it. I am fully cooperating with a creator called Thumin, who is investigating the FCK server and will be releasing a video soon with more detailed findings. My goal here is to be honest, to take responsibility where I failed, and to make sure the truth is clear. From here on, I intend on going into more detail, so please be aware of there being sensitive topics going forward. The first subject is the Ponder-Spoctor situation. Before I give context, I need to inform you that I need to take accountability for my inaction in a very serious situation. And even though I made a post about it on my YouTube community page and Twitter account, I feel I need to make a proper video since not everyone is going to be able to see that information. No fancy editing, no jokes, mostly just screenshots and a simple screen. It's important as my goal is to become a better person, starting with being how honest I am about how I failed myself, my audience, and many others. So at the time of me writing this script, last week, August 25th, a user named Truly uploaded a video discussing a familiar character from my past. The name's Junkie. It's a rabbit hole I don't intend on getting into in this video, but if you want more information about that situation, I will provide a link to their video in the description and pinned comment. After Truly's video, speaking to them and a few others, this is something I cannot ignore. 5 years does not negate a situation I was a part of or my inaction at the time. Back in 2018, I publicly defended a former creator called Spoctor Tech in collaboration with Just a Robot, after another user called Ponder-Spoctor had broken the story with her video at the time. At the time, based on the information available, I and many others thought that Spoctor Tech was being falsely accused. Cut to 2020, during a call in Ponder-Spoctor's Discord server, I learned that Spoctor admitted to possessing illegal content on a hard drive, which he asked Ponder to defend him on. As you can see on the on-screen image, I had said the situation information needed to be discussed publicly because this could not be defended if true. I knew the seriousness of the situation, and I still chose not to update my audience or correct my earlier defense. There's also the matter of Ponder letting Spoctor back into her server at the time, though I wasn't a part of that decision, and later down the line I was removed from the Discord server. I am still culpable for not speaking up against letting him back in, even though I do not recall that event happening, but my memory is not an excuse. And to be clear, the illegal material was CSEM, which pertains to illicit material of minors. Yes, Spoctor admitted to Ponder-Spoctor to having illicit materials of minors on a hard drive. The clear issue here is my silence and inaction of this information. Back when I was in the ACC content sphere, people trusted me because I spoke out publicly before, and I failed to be transparent with this information when the truth came out, or even updating my viewers in that regard, or voicing any complaints about Spoctor being allowed back into Ponder's Discord server, though I cannot confirm if I had a reaction at the time since I was removed from the server at one point or another. I can point out reasons like thinking Ponder would have been the one to break that information to the public since she was the one who got the information, or the uncertainty about what my responsibility would be. But those are excuses that I do not accept nor should be acceptable in this situation. The fact is, I had the info, I had the platform, and I didn't act. That was severe negligence on my part, and I apologize for that, especially when it was appearing that no one else was going to do anything with that information. This wasn't the only time I've mishandled serious topics. Roughly around the same time period, I also botched the Toby drama. Again, not something I'm going to get into for this video, but it was a mess as well. To be clear, since this isn't the time to talk about this, 2020 was a huge shit show filled with a lot of stressful times with me making mistakes. I'm not trying to make excuses for my inaction. I made big mistakes, and I need to take accountability for them. Looking back at these events, it made it clear I wasn't capable of responsibly handling ACC-related content or these types of situations, especially with such heavy topics. So I made an active push to step away from it, doing less and less videos related to the ACC until 2021, which I made the last video I considered ACC-related to in June of that year. Creepshow art if you are interested. I focused on media content ever since, content where there is less likely of a chance of hurting people if I make a mistake or an action, and I have removed myself from plenty of circles where this type of situation will appear over the years to the best of my ability. However, I cannot undo my inaction. I have to own up to my mistakes, even if it's years late at this point, and I cannot sweep my mistakes under the rug pretending like nothing happened. I should have spoken up. I did not. And people were misled and hurt because of that. While I don't expect these types of situations to appear in my path going forward, if I ever end up in a situation where serious allegations are raised, I will do my best to handle it transparently or step aside for someone who is better equipped for this, helping them as best I can in the process. I have made many mistakes. I regret them, and I want to do better. I am sorry to everyone I let down in this situation. I do not expect amnesty. I have made mistakes, and I need to take accountability. I do not blame anyone for wanting to cut ties with me, unsubscribe from me, or whatever it takes. I made many serious mistakes, and I can never fully atone for them. I have marked the 2 videos pertaining to Spoctor on my channel as disavowed, something that should have been done a long time ago, especially when the information about Spoctor became public. The second video was a video segment from another user's channel, PK Russell, who's his own rabbit hole I won't go into as well, and it wasn't a full video. While I do have plans on privating those videos along with our ACC content on my channel, I don't intend on doing that right away. So if anyone wishes to download those or any other ACC content that I have on the channel for archival purposes, I will start privating them around the 14th of September. All I ask is if you upload again, please mark them as me disavowing this type of content. Of course, I cannot force you to do that. It is only a request I do not expect to be fulfilled. One final note for this section, and that is me taking so long to make a proper video about this. I informed Chuli privately on Twitter that I intended on making a response, but there was no guarantee that I'd be able to post something until early September. I was out of town during the time, only having a crappy laptop, no microphone or editing software. I received their approval of that. However, I made a post on Twitter and on my YouTube community page to make an immediate response. But as you can plainly hear and see, I've made a proper video response and apology, giving more details and more context. And I've made an active choice not to post anything until this video is uploaded. I intend on posting regular content again. However, I do not know when I will return for a while, but I will return. I'll repeat what I said. I screwed up with this situation. I clearly do not have the stomach or such to handle these types of topics. My inaction has caused harm, and I have made an active push to stay out of these situations if I can help it. Elect and have other people who have more experience in them take the reins, while providing as much help as I can if I'm involved in any sort of way. But from the bottom of my heart, I apologize for my mistakes in this situation. But I don't blame anyone for not accepting my words at this point. If you're not familiar with the Fruitcake Club situation, otherwise known as the FCK, the cliff notes of it is that it is a server where a number of former commentators such as Miss ZZ and Hopeless Peaches were a part of, as well as there being a number of minors in there as well, of which there was sharing of NSFW imagery and grooming going on. Take note of the timeline I'm about to give. It is based upon screenshots that I had and what I have received from others, mostly Thumin, and as such, I am going off of the posts and times are given. In addition, to preface, I live in the Central Time Zone for the past 12 years. I'm not giving specific states because I'd rather not dox myself in the process. I say this because some of my screenshots showcase my posts listed at some point at 5 in the morning, even though my own screenshots show Central Time Zones. That is a 7-hour difference caused by time zones. For example, I entered the Discord server on March 13th, 2020 at 9:47 p.m. Central Time shown on screen with the image. Meanwhile, from Thumin's screenshot I was given, I was listed at 4:47 a.m., which is about a 7-hour difference. I need to establish this since I'm sure there will be questions about why some screenshots are shown at 5, 6, or 4 in the morning. In any case, let me continue. I do not recall who gave me the invite to join the server at the time, and my last active post in the server was on March 14th, 2020 at 12:39 a.m. Central Time, where I am saying no to still playing a game of Uno. That is the basic amount of time I was active in the server, which was rounded up to 3 hours in total, but if you want to be highly specific, it was 2 hours and 52 minutes. After that, the server was effectively dead to me, and I had not made another message in it or joined it ever since the 14th. I had forgotten I was a part of that server due in part to the fact on March 15th, 2020, I learned the news that a family member of mine had passed away. I made a public post about that at the time, which is still available to this day. I do not bring that up as an excuse, but to showcase that my memories of a single 3-hour visit to a server 5 years ago are murky at best due to there being so much time between then and now, and I can only go off the screenshots that I and others have shown for confirmation of what I did in the server, as well as looking into events that happened around these dates to explain my mindset. I intend on going more in depth with the timeline, which I owe to Thumin for providing me with more context and messages that I did not have access to. The biggest issue when it comes to me is I posted my safer work images in the Slimmers art channel that was marked NSFW. I do not know why I did a boat-handed move, but as I stated before, I did not post or share any NSFW artwork in there. Here are all the posts I made within that channel, all provided by Thumin, and none of them are NSFW. I only posted 4 pictures, none of which were suggestive in any nature, and neither were any of my messages. I certainly did not know minors would be exposed to anything in the server. Now, I knew Slimmer's age at the time. After all, a few months prior to 2019, I had made a video talking about the Madame situation where Slimmers was a young artist, minor, who was being taken advantage of to get free art by a creator called Madame at the time. But I had no idea if Slimmers was in the server at the time, and I never interacted with them at all. Still, upon retrospect, it was dumb for me to do on my part. At one point in those 3 hours, a user who goes by the name of Grump started a draw pile. Based on the time, and considering time zones, that was started for me at 10:18 p.m. However, I do not believe I joined immediately since I was still talking in the art channel until 10:27 p.m. But at one point, I did join, but I cannot provide an exact time of when I did, nor do I know how long I was a part of it. I had drawn my skull avatar at the top of the draw pile stream. At some point, after others had drawn stuff, someone drew dicks on the following: Sonic the Hedgehog, what I believe is Hopeless Peaches' avatar, and Butch Hartman. I do not intend on showing that picture since I would have to censor the dicks, but I believe that it will be addressed in Thumin's full video. I did not draw those, nor did I know when those were drawn or by whom. I used blue ink for my own character, and everything else was drawn in black, save for another message. I had forgotten that I had taken part in that draw pile since at one point I spent over an hour playing Uno, which is important for future reference. I do need to address the previous screenshot I showed on screen, since I was told that I should have seen what was posted in my time there, which, if we follow the time codes, that NSFW image was posted at 11:12 p.m., 45 minutes after I made my last post in the NSFW. And not last post as in that was my latest, that was the last post I made in that channel. However, around 11:04 p.m., I had joined an online Uno game, sharing my Uplay user account at that time. Although I don't know exactly when we stopped playing, based on when I returned to making posts in the VC text chat, I had stopped roughly around 12:18 a.m., playing for over an hour, and I did not return to the NSFW art channel. I say that based on the fact that when I returned to share art posts at the time demonstrated in these screenshots, which you can follow via the timestamps and images continued in them, of which my last post that I made on record was at 12:39 a.m. saying no to still playing the game of Uno. Following this timeline, it is possible that I missed the NSFW image since I had last chatted in the VC text chat, and after the game, that was where I posted until I was done in the server. And Thumin confirmed with me that my last message ever in the NSFW art server was this one, where I said, "I don't want to go insane." After that, I did not post again in that channel, and my next post would be in the VC text chat. The posts from the NSFW channel were all archived, which Thumin provided for me and I showcased earlier, but they were archived by the previous owners of the server during the time I had spent my 3 hours and then 3 years later when Leo Convoy contacted me about the server. As such, I had no access to those posts. One quick interruption here. Upon looking into some legal stuff, I cannot be sure if I have the right to show the full screenshots of a private conversation between myself and Leo Convoy. While I will describe the conversation and I certainly do have screenshots to prove it did happen, I do not have the express permission to show the full screenshots from Leo Convoy. So I will err on the side of caution and talk about the conversation, but I will not be expressly showcasing Leo's private messages, especially since this can be on the side of intellectual property rights and for the sake of privacy. If Leo Convoy sees this, if you wish to confirm or deny the following information that I will claim, that will be up to you, but I will not be showing portions of Leo Convoy's half of our conversation, but I can show mine. My apologies on that. I did get permission from Thumin to share bits of our own personal conversation though. We now cut to that point where Leo Convoy contacted me. November 25th, 2023, Thanksgiving Day weekend. At 1:51 p.m. Central is when Leo contacted me about getting access to the server. Immediately, as you can see on screen, I didn't hesitate to give him an invite. I asked him if something was wrong, but all Leo told me was that a user named Akumu was being a piece of garbage. Again, I was also apparently made into a mod sometime. Thumin informed me when some members leave that the roles get dumped down onto other members. It's how one person became the server owner at one point. At this time, I had no idea what was going down with the server. And at the time, I did not have access to the archived Slimmer's art shack. It didn't even show up for me when I had the channel listings, even though I had been given the mod status. Thumin told me that only the owner of the server could open hidden channels. The next time the FCK would be brought to my attention would be the 28th of February 2024, when the initial leaks of the FCK would be exposed to the world by the now deleted Fruitcake Leaks Twitter account. I responded to the information at 11:05 p.m. on the 28th. Other creators such as Ellis Mark, Just a Robot, and Dumbsbill were tagged in the initial thread at the time, and my name came up as well. I do not know who informed me of that, but after I read the thread, I went to check to see if I still had access to the Discord server, and I did. Note, one more thing. Even though the screenshot says 12:05 a.m., I was still in another time zone as well. It's the same situation with the Leo screenshots. I took screenshots of my available posts at the time. I left the Discord server and replied to the thread, which is still available to this day, and you can find it if you search my handle along with mentioning Fruitcake Leaks in the Twitter search system, as shown here. When I admitted to being in the server I had limited time in, initially I said it was active for 2 days, but looking at the time codes, while you can say it was only a grand total of 3 hours that crossed over into the next day. However, I should have made a more public post than this at the time, but I suppose I thought that responding to the initial leaks with my involvement at the time would be sufficient. I had no idea that the account that made the initial leaks would be deleted later. I honestly feel sick to my stomach learning what had happened in that server, and if I had known what was happening, I would have spoken out. There are a few things I need to address. Since I was in a call with the previously mentioned Leo Convoy and a creator named Yen about this subject recently, and I'm not going to lie, I am a mess in that call to say the least. So I want to address a few things, since I believe that call will become public sometime. When I was confronted about the Slimmers art, I asked if there was evidence if I knew Slimmers was a minor at the time. Obviously, as I stated earlier, there was. I made a video on the Madame situation where I talk about Slimmers being a minor in it, and this was 6 years ago and still a public video. I wasn't trying to be slick or anything. I legitimately had forgotten that that video and event had happened 6 years ago until reminded about it. Still, I will admit I did something stupid and posted an NSFW channel with safer work images. There are other things I need to address and concerns that were brought up in that Discord call. This tweet was brought up where I was asked if I was a part of the Fruitcake Club, and I said no. I have no excuse here as to why I said no. I clearly was in the server, and considering that this is over a year old, I can only surmise that my thought process was that I wasn't a part of the issues that were taking place in the server, hence why I linked to the Fruitcake Leaks account that said I wasn't a part of the grooming issues in there. That link led to the now deleted Fruitcake Leaks account, where I did respond with effectively saying, yes, I wasn't there, but I didn't do anything wrong, as shown earlier with a screenshot of what I said. I will fully admit I should not have said no to that, and that was careless of me. I will also admit that I should have made a more public statement about the situation when the leaks happened, and I should have been a lot clearer and upfront about this situation. Another tweet I need to discuss. This was in reference to Hopeless Peaches / Rebel Rosie deleting their accounts. At the time, I only knew what was happening. As you can see from the top of the tweet, I literally said I don't know anything other than deleting socials when I made that post. Someone asked me if I was referring to the FCK Discord server, and I said, I don't know, because I did not know at the time what was the cause of the social media deletion, and I outright said in the initial tweet I literally did not know what the cause of it was. So when someone asked me about it, I literally can only respond with I don't know because it just happened and I had no information to go off on at the time. It is only with hindsight that I'm able to understand why that happened because again, I was only active in the FCK server for at most 3 hours, 4 years prior to that tweet. I did not make that correlation, especially since Peaches and Rebel had effectively cut ties with me well before this. I believe it was a year prior to this happening, but I cannot be completely sure about that. I'm only able to look into this stuff when I'm able to actually process the information given to me, actually look into what info I have, and what information I have to give additional context to this situation. It didn't help that I wasn't given all the information and posts in the server that were related to me until I asked Thumin for more proper information. Only after talking to Thumin, I was actually able to gather my thoughts and allowed to actually look into things at my own pace, do I feel like I can give much more coherent answers and a better timeline. I clearly cannot handle these kinds of situations on the fly, and I need time to really sit down and digest information before I can respond properly. I will say it one more time. I did not share any SFW images. I did not interact inappropriately with anyone in that server. I did not know minors were in that server at the time, and I had no idea what people were doing until it became to light publicly. I did not handle the situation well, and it was effectively gotten worse because of me fumbling the execution of it. I did make mistakes, but I didn't hurt anyone in this situation. Still, as I stated, I am giving my full cooperation to Thumin about this situation, and I am willing to help as much as I can. Even though I didn't cause any harm to the victims in this case, I still feel horrible what happened to them. I do wish I can help in any way, And when Thumin's video comes out talking about this situation, I intend on sharing it on my channel and my socials. Helping spread the word and giving my cooperation are the least I can do in this situation. I do not intend on running away from any consequences that come from this, and I'm answering these issues to the best of my abilities and information that I have at my fingertips. While I do plan on taking a break from the internet, YouTube, and social media for a while, as I stated in the previous section, I will return eventually. I have made a lot of mistakes, and one of them is not addressing them in immediate fashion, but I hope if given a chance, I'd like to be a better person. But I broke trust, and that needs to be earned back. Before I get into my final words for this video, I want to preface that everything I said here is based on the information that I have available to me at now and how it is presented to me. If new information is presented, I may include updates to the description or the pinned comment, and I will address it to the best of my ability. I have made mistakes, and nothing I can do can ever hope to take away the pain that others have felt because of that, either from my negligence or how I didn't see the pain that was happening. My time in the ACC was probably one of the worst experiences I ever had, and clearly that community was filled with the brim with horrible people, and unfortunately, because of my negligence, I became one of those horrible people. I know with this video, I'm more than likely going to lose tons of followers. I'll have burned bridges with several people, and to be frank, that's completely fair. I had the trust of over 200k people, and I failed each and every one of you. I failed the victims of the Spoctor situation, and even though I didn't hurt anyone in the FCK situation, I still feel the guilt of having been associated even for a very short time. But, due to my morals, my own personal ideology, and a promise I made to someone who I lost a long time ago, I cannot run away from these consequences, and I need to accept what I can and will come from this. I do want to try to re-earn that trust from my audience, but it will be a lot of hard work. And it's not going to be a simple fix, but nothing other worth doing ever is. Once again, I want to apologize to the victims connected to both the Ponder-Spoctor situation and the Fruitcake Club server. People were hurt. That pain is real, and I regret not recognizing what was happening at the time, and I wish I had acted differently. I was negligent with the Ponder-Spoctor situation. And again, while I never hurt anyone in the FCK server, if I had seen what's going on there, especially what was happening to the victims of it, I should have spoken up. The past is the past though, and I cannot change it. All I can do is to strive to be better. Whether or not I can do better, well, I suppose that will be up to the people watching this video. I do not know if I deserve another chance at this, but I want to do better. So from the bottom of my heart, I apologize.